Punishment does not work. Punishment furthers the divide between people who have made mistakes and their humanity, both in their perception and in ours. What's the solution? I say rehabilitation, redemption.
Whenever criminal justice is brought up, this is typically the reaction.
Laws are racist. Drug war bad.
It's racist!
These days, everyone supports criminal justice reform, like the SJWs, the Democrats, the Republicans, Donald Trump, Candace Owens, Kanye West. Hey everyone, I've got a brilliant idea that no one's ever thought of before. Instead of locking criminals up, why don't we just rehabilitate them?
What's the solution? I say rehabilitation, redemption.
Problem solved! Why didn't anyone think about this sooner? Oh wait, I forgot something. Rehabilitating criminals is really fucking hard. To understand why it's so hard to rehabilitate criminals, we need to have a conceptualization of how the mind works. Luckily, I happen to just have one of these laying around. The way I'm conceptualizing the mind here has 3 different parts. There's conscious reasoning, intuition, and behavioral algorithm. Right here, I've got conscious reasoning represented by a man riding on an elephant, which represents intuition. This is my brilliant way of conceptualizing these 2 things. Okay, that was a lie. I actually just stole this from Jonathan Haidt's book.
Is that the mind is divided like a rider on an elephant. And the rider represents your conscious verbal reasoning, the stuff you're aware of, the stuff that uses logic. And everything else is the elephant. It's the automatic processes. It's the 99% of what's going on in your mind that you're not aware of.
But adding to that idea, I have here the behavioral algorithm, which is represented by YouTube's video algorithm. You see, YouTube can provide a lot of insight to how the human brain works, because our brains kind of work like algorithms. What I've got up on the screen is maybe an algorithm of a normal type of person. But let's look at an algorithm that, let's say an alcoholic would have. Human brains have plasticity to them, and if you do the same actions over and over again, they become part of your behavioral algorithm. So if you're an alcoholic, then your brain is probably constantly suggesting that you engage in drinking. Now, these are just suggestions. The part of the brain that actually makes the decision is the intuition part, the elephant. It's the elephant that chooses which of these things to click. Now, the elephant can seek advice from conscious reasoning, and conscious reasoning would probably tell the elephant, geez, you probably have a problem at this point. Stop drinking so much alcohol. But it's ultimately the elephant that gets to pick. And if this elephant prefers to get shit-faced drunk all the time, it's probably not going to listen to anything that conscious reasoning tells it to. Now, when human beings engage in any type of behavior, they can choose to do so intuitively or through conscious reasoning. The same thing can happen when you pick what videos to watch on YouTube. You can intuitively just pick on some video, or you can think about it for a while. Is this video worth my time? Is this going to be interesting content? Or you can just click on it. Now let's look at the behavioral algorithm of someone who's a transient drug addict. As you can see, their brain is constantly recommending them to commit crimes. Now, like I previously said, a lot of things that show up on people's behavioral algorithms are going to be from things they've done repetitively. But human beings don't start out as a blank slate. Morality, beliefs about politics, and the tendency towards certain personality types or behaviors are also informed by people's genes. Now, if you were to go to YouTube for the first time ever, maybe on a new web browser or something like that, it's probably going to recommend a bunch of SNL videos, clips from the Ellen DeGeneres show. Now, if you've been on YouTube a long time and you don't like to watch that sort of content, like I don't, then you don't tend to get a lot of those videos recommended to you. But every once in a while, I'll still get an SNL clip showing up as one of the possible videos I can click. Every once in a while, someone might act really out of character. This might be an example where they picked something that their algorithm recommended that came from some distant time in the past, perhaps something buried deep in their genes. So why is it so hard to rehabilitate criminals then? Let's look at the behavioral algorithm that a hardened, violent gang member might have when confronted with some sort of disrespect. As you can see, this person has a very disturbing algorithm. The things that their brain recommends for them to do in order to confront this issue are very bad. They're very destructive. So the people advocating for criminal justice reform recommends taking someone like this and having them go to an anger management class or some sort of diversion class, some place where they can learn that it's bad to do these things. The problem is that this won't work, because if you go to a class, if you try and teach people stuff, all you're doing is you're talking to their conscious reasoning. Conscious reasoning knows that it's stupid to shoot someone because you're angry. Conscious reasoning knows that it's stupid to continue to use drugs, that it's self-destructive. Making a drug addict go to a drug class where they're taught drugs are bad is pointless and a waste of time. Drug addicts know drugs are bad. They know they would be better off if they stopped using them. Violent criminals know they would be better off if they stopped engaging in violence. Putting people on probation, making them take diversion classes or anger management classes or things like that aren't going to rehabilitate any criminals. They're not going to help these people. They're not going to solve any of these problems. What these people need is they need to be opened up with a human can opener and have their behavioral algorithm seriously screwed with. Now, to actually physically open up someone's skull and change their brain, that's outside of our scientific capabilities. The closest thing we can do is try and hack the algorithm, to try and restore it. The only way of doing this is through cognitive-based therapy. It's the only way to rehabilitate criminals. Well, gee, why don't we just send them to cognitive-based therapy then? Well, here's the thing. Cognitive-based therapy is extremely difficult. In order to successfully change the way that a human being thinks through cognitive-based therapy, a couple things need to be true about the person. For one, they really need to want to change themselves. If someone doesn't want to change themselves, if they don't want to change the fact that they're a violent criminal or a drug addict, then cognitive-based therapy is 100% guaranteed to fail. Another feature of cognitive-based therapy is it requires a lot of hard work and a huge amount of time commitments. A weekly class will never be successful. In order to achieve meaningful change to someone's behavioral algorithm through cognitive-based therapy, that individual needs to be seeing some sort of psychologist every day for hours each day. And it's going to still take months, if not over a year, for them to change the way their behavioral algorithm works. Now, I don't know about you, but the majority of people who I've met who are either criminals or drug addicts tend not to be very patient people. They tend not to be very hardworking people. They tend not to be the type of person willing to put in hundreds of hours in order to change the way they think. But that's what's necessary for cognitive-based therapy to successfully rehabilitate a criminal. The human behavioral algorithm comes to us from millions of years of evolution. So it's not surprising that it's really hard to change. It takes a lot of work to hack into what sort of things your brain recommends you do and get rid of some of the things that it recommends. It requires an immense amount of hard work. Look, I would like to see less people in prison. I would like to see more criminals rehabilitated. But we shouldn't lie to ourselves and pretend like we're solving a problem when we're not. It's easy for politicians to empty jails and prisons and make people go to weekly classes. What's really difficult is to pony up the funding needed for the actual sort of intense cognitive-based therapy that these people actually need. The Democrats don't want to pay for it, the Republicans don't want to pay for it, and all the social justice warriors want is people out of prison immediately. So next time you see some asshole say something like this,
all of the evidence, all of the studies, all the proof, whether it's from the Scandinavian region of the world or this study right here, it all points to the conclusion that it's definitely possible in a lot of cases to rehabilitate people and make them function well and make them become good members of society.
You can know full well that they're full of shit. Anyways, if you like this video and you're not subscribed to this channel, please subscribe.